is the driving force behind American Ambassador Meg Whitman's U-turn on William Ruto. The envoy, who seemed to know it all about how our elections in 2022 was transparent, free and fair, is making a U-turn and now comes out regretting endorsing William Ruto presidency, in what signals a very bold message from America, because an ambassador pursues the interest of the mother country. And so Meg is speaking from a different, from an informed position. But just to remind you, this is the latest clash, the last clash. What about her statement she made in the Devolution Conference when Raila was calling her the rogue ambassador?
Now that's how I'm talking about Africa to US businesses. Let's zoom in on how I'm talking about why Kenya should be everyone's destination in Africa. Kenya is the most stable democracy in Africa. Kenya is the gateway to the East African market of almost 500 million consumers. Kenya is the regional logistics hub. Kenya is the leading regional financial hub, and Kenya, with its Silicon Savannah and super smart engineers, is the region's ICT hub. Kenya is a leading destination for foreign direct investment and venture capital, and Kenya has a young, educated, entrepreneurial, and English-speaking workforce. Kenya generates, as I said, over 93% of its energy from renewable sources, and Kenya's largest export market is the United States. Let me repeat, Kenya's largest export is the United States, and we feel Kenya is ready for liftoff as it diversifies. Let me unpack a couple of these areas. Democracy. I arrived in Kenya days before the August 22 general elections. What I witnessed was nothing short of remarkable. Kenya held what many analysts and commentators say was the freest, fairest, and most credible election in Kenyan history. The elections were observed by international and local election organizations, and the results were upheld by the Kenyan Supreme Court, and power was transferred orderly and peacefully at the time. Now,
finally, you want to tell a rogue ambassador, leave Kenyans alone. If Mandamano can lead to a dialogue between Ichungwa and Kalonzo, everything is good with Mandamano. Tell the rogue ambassador, Kenya is not the United States. Kenya is not a colony of the United States. Keep your mouth shut when you hear. Otherwise, we will call for your recall back to your country. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause, please, for the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
That statement was made during the Devolution Conference. Now, so many things seems to have changed. And after that election, one thing that Kenyans partly blame America for is that they endorsed the 2022 presidential election and touted it as the best, despite of the fact that the commission was split right in the middle. And for the first time, they spent the whole day in Bomas to ensure that William Ruto was announced as the president-elect against the expectation, or rather, despite of the breakaway commissioners. And so, Raila also has leveled allegations of them meddling with the Kenyan elections, and that seems to be withering off. Now, look at this photo. This photo, I took it, I saved it. Meg Whitman is one of the ambassadors or envoys that attended King Charles' visit in the country. And here, she was invited and attended the state bouquet that was held in State House. Now, the King Charles meeting was supposed to, cement the Kenyan ties with the UK, and American envoy also was attended. And I think looking at the Kenyan, the way America has been handling the Kenyan situation, or how the king handled the Kenyan situation, there is something to maybe gather. Now, she says that her statement to endorse Kenyan elections as free and fair was actually a big mistake and regrets making that statement. Now, this is what she actually said. US Ambassador Whitman concedes, US Envoy Whitman admits stating Kenyan elections were transparent was a blunder. Now, does she still believe that Kenyan elections were transparent? Or do you think she said it believing it? No. Even by the time she made that statement, it was not about her belief. It was not about the truth. It was about what America was pursuing. And I want to believe whether she said it then or now, it does not change the fact that Kenyan elections were actually were affected, were plagued by some malpractices. And it did not meet the threshold of free, credible, transparent, and fair election. That is, I think that's the clear point, that it did not meet that threshold. Looking at all the other malpractices that were associated with that were linked to the last presidential election. So she's saying, while appearing in a television interview in some local station, that she made a blunder, and this is what she's saying. Now, I was surprised as I did not think what I said was pretty controversial. Then I understood that many people at that conference thought it was controversial. She's saying, I think Kenya should be proud. This is what she said. I think Kenya should be proud that there was no violence associated with this election. She remarked, pointing at turmoils affecting Sudan, DRC, and coup d'etat. Now, according to her, that presentation I made at the Devolution Conference was effectively the same exact presentation I made in America, but the difference here is that what she said here, she said when the wounds were still very raw. Now, she's regretting that if she was to make that statement again, it will be different. She will not allude to a free and fair, incredible election. So, has she realized that it has changed? Before that, before admitting, if you look at these photos, Meg was in Homa Bay County for 4 days. And by then I wanted to analyze about it before I even saw this story about her making the statement. She was in Homa Bay County, and as the photos you can see, she spearheaded, she presided over some projects, the American projects that are being held there. I think there are some projects on health. I think that one of also supporting the terminal, the fishing industry. America has a project that side, and other on-source revenue that counties are grappling with. But I don't think I am a bit surprised. I don't think I'm surprised by that, because even Julius Malema, the South African trade unionist, who really believed that William Ruto was the best thing that happened for this country last year after that election, seems to have changed the tone and decided to come in our own country, in William Ruto's territory, with the gospel truth.
We want to make a call in Kenya, especially to Comrade Raila Odinga, Stop doing what you are doing. Do not disrupt Kenya. We need peace in Kenya. The President, William Ruto, was democratically elected in Kenya. I will not allow you to use the people of Kenya to destabilize the peace of Kenya. Election and the things he's doing now are two different things. I don't know. Because I heard him saying we need to do away with the dollar and build our own currency. But his actions are not speaking to anything of doing away with the dollar. The latest being putting a red carpet for a murderer, a person who killed the Kenyan people, coming into this country, receiving a red carpet and being saluted by our own army. This is not a Kenyan army, it's not a colonialist army. The Kenyan army is a product of the Mau Mau rebellion. And those who killed our people in the Mau Mau rebellion cannot be saluted by the same army of the children of those who were killed during Mau Mau rebellion.
That is Julius Malema saying that Ruto is doing right opposite of what he promised. And of course, the reason why I brought in the Malema's statement here is that, you know, there seems to be Envoys. Envoys seems to be turning away, or rather running away from the initial position on what they said about William Ruto. And that is what I wanted to project, that they seem not to be holding into it. And what exactly, and that is the big question, what exactly is behind the Damascus moment by America, not Meg Whitman? What Meg is saying is not a personal position. It's something that America believes, and her role here is to advance American interest. People always thought it's Kenyan interest. No, they advance she advances American interest. And if what she says, how does it serve the interest of America? I want us to delve deep into that. But before that, kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. Thank you very much for those who have been supporting our podcasts throughout this year. We are doing 57,000 subscribers. I don't take it for granted. Asanteni sana. And I also have a notice that today, after participating after the wheelchair challenge that we ended last week, as I said, the beneficiaries were out for some residential training on how to live with kids with disability and so. Today, on 12th, we will be in Kibera in the afternoon so that we can hand over the wheelchairs to the parents, because it's going to be given to the parents, and we'll be at Old Kibera Primary. So thank you very much for those who participated, and I believe that we've had an impact. Now, why is America running away from William Ruto? You know, there have been a consistent perception that has constantly come out that William Ruto is the man that advances the American interest in Africa. You know, if you look at his speeches when he's talking, it's about American interest, and he's been touted as Mr. Nice. So I want us to flip it through and ask ourselves this way. Is America realizing, is there new intelligence that they have gathered about our last election? That's why they're regretting making that blunder. The answer is no. They're not getting new intelligence. They already knew the truth. But the reason why there is this U-turn is because Ruto was pushed and had a deal to push, or rather was a machine of pushing the American agenda. And that is done. Truth be said, we recently passed some controversial LGBTQ rule here, failing to criminalize LGBTQ, some gay rights, against the moral ethics of the Kenyan population. And Kenyans protested from different areas about us setting a wrong precedent for the country. Kenyans said that one is not what we want. Now, apart from that, despite of the fact that we have our own organic food here, instead of boosting our own production, we actually opened our market for the GMOs. And now the topic about bringing GMO as bit importation of GMO as an intervention to boost our food security seems to be actualized and normalized. And this, I think, since William Ruto came into power, these are two interests that clearly has gone against the public. And of course, it's been in public discourse. They've gone against the public wish, but they've been forced down people's throat because of politics. And clearly, they've realized that maybe no more. Does he still add any value? He's gotten into that standard where things have to go their way. Number two, the policies affecting Kenyans are making government unpopular. The two things making government unpopular. Number one is policies that are veering off from the interest of the population. Policies that are affecting, unpopular policies that are hurting the population. And number two is corruption. In fact, America is so much harsh on corruption. They behave to be so. So they might be realizing that because Kenyans are suffering and Kenyans are asking who is going to rescue us. They also think that Ruto is a puppet of the West. And most of these policies that is advancing, the advisory comes from the Bretton Woods institutions, the IMF and the World Bank of our time. And this is largely associated with America. So what America is doing is just, is leaving the powers and is going to the population. That's what they did, even in the last presidential election. They veered off from Uhuru Kenyatta, and there were reports that the envoys that even went and told Uhuru Kenyatta not to meddle with the Kenyan elections, so that to leave things go as they are. I understand there was such intel. So they're realizing corruption is hurting the country, or the leadership has failed. So if the leadership has failed, the only thing you can do is you disassociate with the criminal so that you sanitize yourself. I say probability that America is doing catch-22 with the British, and they're learning their lessons from the King Charles visit. I believe after King Charles left the country, American Ambassador Whitman attended that and followed up. You realize one thing. There was a discussion about remembrance of the colonial atrocities, the Mamau freedom issues coming, but there is something that the British team did. They intentionally avoided the discussion of legitimacy. Why did and how? Raila Odinga said that he was invited in State House by King Charles himself. And if you think he's wrong, you would have, we know Kenya Kwanza are people that have the rejoinders. You would have seen Kenya Kwanza coming out to say that Raila is lying. They are the ones that invited Raila. That's state bouquet. So if they invited, if Britain invited, the UK, the monarch, invited Raila Odinga to meet the king, despite the fact that Raila had been profiled as a man who likes violence, a man who doesn't accept elections and this and that, but they still invited. And in fact, King Charles did not seem to be bothered about Kenya Kwanza. And he never praised government. By the way, he never bothered about the peace of an election or how election was. There was nothing to do with that election. And that's the catch-22 that now America is trying to do, because through that you could see they got audience. The the UK ambassador met Neil Wigan, met Raila Odinga. US has never. Lastly, I see the Ruto's mission in the East, Dubai, China, Saudi Arabia, is unsettling America. And is unsettling America not because America has oil, that they can give us oil, from, we have to get oil from the East. But remember, America's competitor in Africa is China. Kenya is going for, Ruto is going for some huge loans there, against a warning by the American economists that that China is trapping Africa, even though that loan facility is now declining. But then it seems to be unsettled. Number one, why they're settling is they're actually growing the China's economy. Number two, we've had these two wars, this Palestine and Israel, and we've had UK and Russia. If you look at these countries, if you look at Saudi Arabia, China, they are members of the BRICS. And the BRICS is working on decolonization. For example, Kenya has gone to Saudi Arabia twice. President was in Saudi Arabia. Within the last 21 days, Kenya has gone there twice. But looking at the international, the geopolitics, America is feeling like it's not right, or rather, the East mission is a threat to them in Africa. And especially, some of this, they believe that some of these proceeds of the good deals that Kenya is doing with the East might be even supporting the conflicts in the Israel, Palestine, and those wars. For example, I want to give you a good example. When Ruto went to China, remember the last month visit? He went to China and arrived in China on Friday. Then on Saturday, Putin was in China. But then there is no photos of Putin meeting William Ruto. So look at that. So any deal, business interest, the America is feeling like we are actually supporting what's happening the other end. Now I want to listen to something here. I don't know where you put it. This is just as I finish this. Moses Kuria said that America ambassador, he was asked by Jeff Koinange at that show why he never met, why the American envoy, Catherine Tai, declined to meet him. And he said that America blamed him, or rather did not want profile him because of some tweets or some statements he made about protests by then, back in May, when Azimio la Umoja were doing protest. And if that protest was on Kenya Kwanza about the cost of living, and someone who said something bad about the protest, or someone who profiled protesters is actually left out, then does it mean that even this Ruto defense started way back, or cleverly behind the scene, America was actually supporting anti-government moves, those who are checkmating William Ruto? You may need to think along those lines. Thank you, guys. Let's meet in the next. Welcome to the Bold Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. This is the northern part of the coastal northern coast, and I am live at the Uzuri Coastal Apartment. I want to show you a B&B. I know this is now a holiday season, and most of us are coming in the country. You also want to spend some time in the coastal area, and of course, this is the best place. It is very convenient, and I want to show you so that we do a house tour. You know what exactly is inside and how it looks like, so that you can really be in a position to make a good decision. It is a very good partnership between the Bold podcast and the Uzuri Coastal Apartment here in the coast. Asante, let's go. Yes, so when you come, this is the house. This is the beautiful sitting room, or rather the living room. This is your dining. So, like in these rooms, when you come, you're supposed to be able to prepare your food, or even without that, you can still get someone a cook to serve you. And this will be your dining. Then, so on this other end is the kitchen. So the kitchen is very big. This is where you cook. So, and it's very comfortable because when you cook, the smoke that is coming is being absorbed by this. Then this is where you can keep your stuff. This is a microwave. and even you also have a fridge on this other end. So it's a very comfortable place. So before even I show you the other side of the living room, here is a door where you can, when you are here and you want to freshen up, you can just come out here. You can do your laundry around this place. It's a very serene space, guys. You can do your laundry here. You can also just rest and just around the balcony, as you have a very good view of the place. And by the way, as your cameraman is showing you, you see the place is quite an amazing space, and you can take a very good view. So even standing here or being around this place is quite a very interesting scenery. So this is what is it? So let's go back inside so that we give you the other bit of it. Yes. So this is your sofa sets. This is where you can relax. So you make yourself comfortable here. If you can look at it,